Good afternoon, class. It's morning still, folks. Good morning. I think last time we were able to finish with the branches of philosophy and education. Oh? That is treating metaphysics, epistemology, and axiology. That's all of it. What just remains for us now is to look at the relevance of philosophy to education based on what we have treated so far. Yes, it's very important that you learn to understand this importance because all of you know them by what we have been treating so far. So we are going to kind of look at what we have done and see what we can bring out as a relevance, as an importance that we can ascribe to philosophy of education based on what we have treated so far. That is looking at the meanings as well as the branches of philosophy. So you will do that, and I'll only guide you towards doing that. After which we are going to treat the schools of philosophical thought. Yes. We are going to look at these areas based on what we have treated so far. What do you think should be the relevance of philosophy of education to you as student teachers or as teachers? Do you really think it's worth your time? People that have set this course to be taught as a compulsory course have a reason for saying that. Oh, right? For making it so. They have seen the relevance. At least for now, we have gone to some length now. Of course, there are some other areas that when we discuss further, you will see more relevance there too. When we look at the schools of philosophical thought as well. However, based on what we have done so far on the branches of philosophy and the meanings of philosophy, what do you think should be something that is worthwhile sharing with others? Now look, this course is good. I think it teaches us that. That is irrelevant. Or you can say otherwise, that it's just wasting your time. It's still part of a critique. You understand? Now look, the kind of thing they discuss there is not worth your time. Don't even go there. You know? It's still part of your own thinking about the course. Perhaps then we can see how we can make you perform better. I'm listening.
When we talk about the branches of philosophy, we talk about theology and talking about values.
Values, yes.
When we talk about both the category of values and the realm of values. The category of value, we then inculcate value in our children. When this is morally right, this is not morally correct, and things like that. Then when we talk about the realm of value, I think we will probably think of we talked about ethics.
Ethics.
Yes, aesthetics basically, because I have personally struggled with anxiety disorder. And dance was used, and dance is, when we talk about aesthetics, we talk about dance.
Yes.
So dance was one of the therapeutic things that my doctor used in trying to solve
anxiety issues.
I now understand why my doctor used dance as a
therapeutic strategy to treat your PTSD or anxiety issues. Well, that's very good. At least you have touched your life somewhere.
So I now understand that.
Very good. Very good. That is her own shot. She's looking at it from the value side. The philosophy of education has gone that deep into solving her anxiety issues. Not solving, but at least discussing some issues that she's now beginning to see the reason why someone used a particular strategy in treating her issues. And most importantly, this rationale behind something is what philosophy is even trying to look at. And for all this while, the reason why something is happening, or why it is happening like this. Philosophy is there to open your eyes to see the things vividly more than the way you used to see them before. That is why you see that in one of the what we call the hallmarks of philosophic excellence. They said it's open-mindedness. It teaches you how to open up your mind such that you are ready to receive others' points of view in life. Other people's point of view other than your own. They've made mention of things like reflecting over your prior practices. So, then you are beginning to philosophize that, am I actually doing this the right way? Am I on the right path? Is it the right thing to do, or am I just on a wrong footing? That is one way of looking at it. Let us continue. We can give 10 based on all the branches of philosophy there that have been discussed. Or you can even just look at the meaning, like I said, the definition of philosophy. You can bring out something out of there too. We are doing this because this is an advanced class. We don't want to always be spoon-feeding you like they used to say. Just giving you everything that I will start dictating, people will just be noting that, okay, this is how you want it. No, I don't want it like that. I want it your own way. That is when I know that you have arrived. So, I'm listening.
Looking at the benefit of philosophy. So, students, teachers, or humans, I think it helps us to exploit the nature of right and wrong. Probably also digging deep into the ethics of right decision making.
Telling you what is right and wrong. You two are going to the value side. It's like axiology has gotten so much fans around here. So, yes. You are digging deep into the issues of what is right and what is wrong. So, and how people and taking the proper decision. That is what we call philosophy and educational judgments, or judgments in general. Before you judge something, give it a second hard thought. We even made mention of one of the verses of the Quran telling that you don't just receive anything from anyone that comes to you without actually sieving that information. Making sure that what he or she is saying is right before you act on it. Because doing so will make you at the end of the day to be at let me say, how do I put it? Regret. You might be regretting what you have decided, what you have judged before, and you have cheated someone, or you have wronged someone. So making the right judgment is part of it, so that you don't just pass judgment without actually being sure of what you're actually talking about. Okay? I consider this axiological again still. Any other? Please, people should talk. This is philosophy. If you don't talk now, you will never talk anywhere again. That is the truth, man.
If I'm going to say anything else, it's going to be a criticism.
I would like that too. You don't forget about it. Just bring it on.
Because so far, from what we've learned now, I've never had any knowledge of philosophy. Epistemology, archaeology, I understand, and even with epistemology, I now have a broader scope of how I look at things. So I'm even surprised that I'm such a short period at that. But when we talk about metaphysics, and then we start to talk about things like theology, I don't know. I feel these are not things that some people like me may not be comfortable with. Because we talk about the study of nature, find that, but when we particularly talk about theology, if I'm a Muslim that has no much knowledge of Islam, I would continuously question Islam. If I'm a Christian who has not gone to Bible school, I will continuously question Christianity. And then if I come to theology without religion, then that will further affirm where I should be or be without religion. Because I will continue to see religion as Karma said, a portion of the masses, I will see it like a gold and solution. So my argument with philosophy and theology is when we come to metaphysics. And unfortunately, I don't know because I've realized that even Islamic philosophers like Imam Ghazali talk so much about metaphysics. And that is the part of philosophy that I don't know, but I personally am comfortable with.
Yes, it's okay like that. It's good to be afraid, you know. And that is why I'm here, like I said the other time. Okay? It's good to be, it's okay to be afraid. It's okay to be kind of wary with it. Yes. Just like the way, I don't know how God used to say this. That way, يُحَذِّرُكُمُ اللَّهُ نَفْسًا. That God is telling you, beware of me. So, the Lord here is telling you, beware of me. That if I want to get back at you, there's no way you can escape me. So it's not like that. It's not about me being scared. Yes, like I even told you, I myself, I was warned in the beginning by someone, one of my mentors, that look, don't dare go that area. That area is a no-go zone for you. Because you might end up losing your faith if you go there. But she didn't know that how deep I was when it comes to religion. She never knew of anything as such. That was why, like I said, one of the philosophers, in person of Hegel, J.W. of Hegel, said that if you are a religious person and you find yourself in philosophy will make you more religious. And vice versa. If you are at the comrade type, like we're talking about, religion is not an opium of the masses. If you are that comrade type and you find yourself in religion, you are going to be far, far away from in philosophy. You are going to be far, far away from your religion. That is just it. It like takes you to the extreme of wherever you find yourself. If it is atheism, you find someone who's ready to discuss things in your own way. But I still used to wonder, like I told you the other time, I still don't really, I really wish I can have someone to sit down together with who is a bona fide atheist, a true atheist who doesn't believe in God. I've been wanting to meet them so that we can sit down and talk one-on-one, you understand? And really see if God does exist or not. If we're really wasting our time. Or if he's that so stupid to think that he is just existing on his own. It's true now. To think that you are here just for no reason. And you are simply here just to eat and die. Without any destiny, without any focus. You know? And to think that this world as we look at it now, it has no maker. Simply we will just use the word, it's nature that provides. You know? As nature does this, nature does that. You know? You know? But simply, again, think that because most of those atheists do agree with Charles Darwin. They agree with this spontaneous creation, that theory of spontaneous creation. So, that theory of evolution, that we actually started from some species called apes. And that we haven't seen anyone as in within ourselves here. So that this person started, the ancestors of that guy, they are apes. I don't know if you are getting it. We haven't seen the apes that they have been talking about. We've just been hearing about the word apes. So, to say that, we do know that if, for instance now, a grasshopper normally starts from a worm, a butterfly rather. A butterfly starts from a worm. From that worm it metamorphoses. With the wings and everything. We have never seen a human being metamorphosing from an ape into the humanness, being a human being. You know? And to say that if we all agree that there's definitely we are not from those apes, definitely we are from somewhere. We do believe that we have our ancestors and their own ancestors too. And you continue to ask, what if it goes to the very first man or the first couple? How did they come to be? Did they also come by chance? Or were they deliberately being created? You know, it's just, if at all you want to use logic, because logic doesn't allow things to just go without any explanation. The law of cause and effect is there. Like I told you the other time, even Aristotle believed that there is someone that's what you call the first cause. As intelligent as Aristotle is, he couldn't be so stupid to think that there's no such thing as first cause. And we say that first cause is God. He didn't give it the word, the name God, but he used the word the first cause. And it's the cause that is causing all other causes to be what they are today. He called it the unmoved mover. That is Aristotle we are talking about. One of the most intelligent brains that we have had in the history of all humanity. For that individual to think that there is someone that has started everything, definitely, we should know that even if we really want to go into science, we can't be so foolish to think that there is no such thing as God. You know? So let us not go there. I don't want to go so deep there. Please, importance. At least know that it's okay to be afraid. But provided that you are firm in your belief, philosophy will only make you believe more. Will only make you to understand more. And at least to reflect more. Because you'll be seeing how philosophy will be challenging you to think. And you're realizing you're also being challenged to think. Your God is telling you that, can you not reflect over so and so. While philosophy is having the same common ground. You understand? We'll come to discuss. In fact, this is one of the reasons why, for your information, this is one of the reasons why, part of the curriculum in this class, that there is a place that we are going to discuss that Ghazali you are talking about. We're looking at that. We're also going to look at philosophy and Islam. Most especially because we know that a lot of people think that we're only here to blaspheme. Or we are here to just say as we wish. It's not like that. Just to make you understand that no, it doesn't work the way you actually think it. But like I said before, when we finish with the course, maybe you'll be given a chance to talk more again. Okay? So more relevance, please. Relevance. Based on the three branches of philosophy. Yes, sir?
Which is how faith philosophy and non-faith philosophers.
We will call them theistic philosophers and atheistic philosophers. From atheist and theism.
Those are believe in God and those are not believe in God. And they are still the matter.
Yes.
And at the same time, they don't have any reason to criticize them because they have their own views and they have their own law.
No, you can criticize them, please. That is, in fact, that is why you are here in philosophy. What makes philosophy most beautiful is that you are allowed to criticize anyone. Let me tell you something about my own personal philosophy. While I was doing my masters, and I was bringing the works of some philosophers within the Nigerian hemisphere, I deliberately decided not to touch my supervisor's work. And he was like, in his comment while he was commenting on that chapter that I wrote, it was like, you are not behaving like someone who came from UI. We expect that you bring works of other people that come from the UI too. I was like, you really don't want me to go there. And when I went there, the first thing I did, I destroyed his work. I said his work is rubbish. That it is conceptually biased. There's too much bias on concepts, and I forget about issues and other problems. And philosophy is more than just talking about concepts. He was like, he didn't see that coming. He kept quiet and he liked it. Until the day that I was doing my defense, that was when he demolished me. You understand? And he was surprised that I was able to defend myself through that. And that was what made it the most beautiful defense that day. In fact, immediately after that defense, everyone was so happy about what I did. In fact, the external professor had to call me and say, Mubarak. I turned back, I said, yes, sir. I said, I like your confidence. Take that confidence, it will take you to a lot of places in this life. I said, thank you, sir, and I just walked out of the hall. After that, he said, I was the first person to defend, because we were like 15 people defending that very day. They said all the other people that just came out, they were just so timid, and they couldn't meet up to the standard I've already set in the defense. Yeah. Immediately after that day, he took me to his hometown. We went there and had a very nice, beautiful weekend. He was taking me to all his kinsmen. You understand? But I'm just trying to tell you what I said. We normally do demolish anything that comes our way. We criticize anyone that we can lay our hands on. Provided you know your logic very well, then you should know that the sky is your limit. So whichever philosopher is saying anything, look, the day that I criticized Aristotle, we were discussing, and I told him that I brought a critique for Aristotle today. I have somewhere that I'm demolishing what we call the doctrine of the mean of Aristotle. He was like, do you really mean it? He was kind of reclined, so at ease while we were discussing. But when I said I'm demolishing Aristotle's work today, he stood up. And what did you say? And when I brought my reasons for what I did, he was like, "You are right," but then he now tried to kind of defend Aristotle, because of these translators. Maybe it was the people that translated his work that didn't put it the way you are thinking it to be. I was like, still, sir, my criticism still stands. I'm not going to remove it from me. He said, leave it there. You understand? So don't say that because there are some philosophers that are theistic or they are atheists, we can't criticize them. Criticize them, please. You understand? I will not enjoy this class until I see someone criticizing me. That is the beauty of philosophy. My what? You can check the Nigerian Journal of Educational Philosophy. Nigerian Journal of Educational Philosophy. I don't know if they have gone on the internet yet.
In the library.
Yeah, it could be in the library, or maybe if you happen to find yourself in the southern part of the country, go to either Unilag or UI. Or UI there. Our journal is very much available there. Or you go to Sokoto. Yeah. Or you can come to me, I can give you some of the journals for you to read. I have some with me that I can read. You understand? I've been writing since 2012 and I've never missed a year. So you will find my works there. No problem. Because when you do that, we feel that this one has come on board. We feel so okay that this one has come on board. Someone has come on board. You understand? That is just the kind of joy we kind of have. And that is that is how we get what we call growth of knowledge. You can get growth of knowledge only when people are criticizing others. If you just simply report what I said, and you are not actually bringing something new from what I said, you are only just replicating what I've done. You are not improving knowledge there. You understand? But when you bring my ideas, demolition that, look, this one is rubbish. I'm no longer using this idea again. This idea is no longer in vogue. This is what it should be instead of that. Then you have come on board. We say that this one is already on board and we like that. I'm currently the PRO, the National PRO of the Philosophers of Education of Nigeria. So I'm sure like these papers that you're talking about, we are going to work towards seeing how they can soon come online. We've already have majority of them stored somewhere. As I'm still let me see how do I put it? They used to call me the network administrator and as well as the chief librarian of the association. Because majority of the works that they are using there, I provide them. You understand? So if maybe you happen to be one of us, we really enjoy you being there. Okay? You are welcome. Everyone is welcome. Just come and criticize us, please. Yes. So, are you true? Okay. Yes, let us continue. We are looking for relevance, like we said.
Sir, philosophy as a field of study, looking at what it stands for, the pursuit for knowledge, I strongly look at it in the area of relevance because you cannot really say there is no aspect of field in life that cannot do without philosophy. In politics, in economics, in religions, in education.
That is for sure.
Philosophy is applicable to every field or aspect of human
endeavor.
So from where we are now, or from where you've taken us to, it's giving me a base to really be inquisitive, to dig deep into knowledge. So looking at me being afraid that if I go deep into philosophy, especially in the area of metaphysics, it will take me out of where I was. Just like we were arguing here today with my colleagues. They bring behind philosophy, metaphysics. Why should philosophy take me away from my stand or my faith? It's simply because maybe I was not really rooted.
You are not really rooted, that's the fact.
And the knowledge. If I'm really rooted, it will give me a broader base to go deeper so that I can place my criticisms, balance them in a scale, know that what is right and what is wrong. So philosophy is very, very paramount in the life of every individual, down to the grave. Yes.
Yes, I like the way you put it. You are really there. You are really there. Because let me just say something before I forget. When you made mention of that inquisitiveness, it puts in you that inquisitiveness. That reminds me of one of the definitions of the foremost philosophers. That is the person given the title of the father of African philosophy. That is Jones Adelayo Akinpelu. While he was defining philosophy, he said philosophy is a child of wonder and a product of failure. And you just stop there. A child of wonder and a product of failure. This is simply because usually in life, when you begin to be inquisitive, you be wondering about things. You wonder about, why is this sky like this? Why am I a Muslim? Why am I a Christian? You understand? Why am I living like this? You understand? You are beginning to wonder. And when something fails, you are beginning to see, how did this happen? How can we solve this problem? You are beginning to reflect. That reflection you are doing, you are already engaging in philosophy. You understand?
The first lecture you had here, there was something you said. That sometimes philosophy helps you to know why you are a Christian, you are a Muslim. Is it because of your family background or where you are coming from? That actually made me to go back and re-examine myself.
Very
why
good.
am I a Christian? Why am I where I am? Is it because my parents were Christian? Or because of my faith or my belief or discovery? So giving me more insight to really sit and really work on myself.
Yeah, that is very good. And now you're now back and better.
I also asked myself the same question after that first lecture. Am I a Muslim by conviction or am I a Muslim by family?
Have our tradition. Well, these are your thoughts now. Now you see the reason why we are doing this discussion now. This is the most beautiful aspect of philosophy. Leaving you with something to go and reflect. Let me just give you an example now. There was a time when we had a conference in Kefi. One of the older philosophers came to present a paper. He had so many questions, so many controversies. And like everyone was asking questions. Everyone was so furious that how can he kind of bring such issues? He's been too controversial. And everyone wanted him to give answers to the kind of questions that he was raising. He said that he just picked his presentation and said, I've achieved what I've come to achieve. I simply came here to ensure that you are engaging in this kind of thoughts. So my job is done. Now continue with your questions. When you ask the question, I'm not here to answer the questions after all. He said after speculative philosophy, the speculative philosophers raise more questions than they care to answer. Because such questions, when they raise them, you will be the ones to answer them. When they put you in that kind of situation of thinking, then they have really achieved. Because they don't want you to be what they call the prosaic mentality. They don't want you to be the prosaic mentality, someone who doesn't think about life, who doesn't reflect over what he or she is doing. They don't want to just be working like an animal. Just like a normal, what I call the beast of burden. The home animals, or the domestic animals rather. You should be reflective. That is what makes you different from other lower animals. So that itself, we are already engaging in philosophy. You understand? That is part of the relevance of what we are doing. Unless it will make you to be someone who is really standing on his feet rather. Not just simply receiving anything from anyone. You become so critical, and in fact, you become what we call the educated man. The real educated man. What the Yorubas will call the Omoluabi. You've heard the word Omoluabi in Yoruba. Who is a Yoruba here? Only Miriam. People are only calling Miriam. No, please raise up your hand now. Don't be shy. Omo Yoruba ni What is Omoluabi? What is Omoluabi?
Omoluabi is just like a responsible person. You're not sure.
A responsible person. I like the way you put it. What about you? Would you go with how you want to shed more light? The good child. A well-behaved child. A well-behaved You see them coming, go. That is what education is trying to aim at from the philosophical angle. Well, that is that. So let me just look at some. Now listen to these ones. I'll just read them. I'm not dictating, please. That this is we given justification for philosophy of education in teacher education programs. Justification for philosophy of education in teacher education programs. Number one, we said that philosophy of education initiates the will-be teachers into the culture of critical thinking. Into the culture of critical thinking. It is initiating you into the culture of critical thinking. And this critical thinking is also what we have been talking about, being inquisitive. Cool? Mm-hmm. 2, they said it helps them to understand the philosophy of their country's education. Because if you go deeper now, especially into the schools of philosophical thought, you will get to understand that most of what we have in that national policy on education, you've heard of the NPE before, go? The National Policy on Education of Nigeria is the document that our ministers, our commissioners for education, make use of whenever they want to pass or they want to kind of uphold a particular policy on education of Nigeria. They simply go there and bring one part and reinforce it. Because the laws are already there. So it is only true when you go through deep into philosophy of education, especially treating the schools of philosophical thought, that you would understand that the basis upon which this NPE was built was actually based on these schools of philosophical thought that we have. And that is how you understand that this philosophy of education would help you in a lot of ways. Also, it enhances their ability to influence educational policies of the country whenever they are in the position to do so. Meaning that it enhances their ability, that they will be teachers, to influence educational policies of the country. Meaning that having gone through this course and a lot of the philosophies, the schools of philosophical thought that we are going to discuss, you find out that we are in a position to actually say something about how our education should be run. Because you have now understood the rationale behind a lot of things, which means you are on the same page with the lawmakers now, and you are somewhat in a better position to give them a way out. And this is one of the reasons why one of the neonates in philosophy at a point in time called the philosophers the generals. He called them the generals in the war. When he was like, while they were criticizing analytic philosophy, there was this person called Abraham Edel. Abraham Edel is one of the foremost philosophers of education in the world. They were the first people to start philosophy of education in the world. That Abraham Edel. Yes. And while he was discussing, he called it Analytic Philosophy at the Crossroads. That was the title of his paper. He said one of the students came by and he was passing. And he said that he was dismayed to have gone to the barracks while we were at the verge of war, only to see that the generals are playing chess. Only to see that the generals are playing chess. What he was referring to as the generals here was the philosophers. And the philosophers at a point in time, especially the analytic branch of the discipline, said that they will not give you any solution to your problem. What they will simply make you to understand is that they will make you to understand the problem first. When you understand your problem, you will be the one to solve it by yourself. Because they believe that you are the best judge of your own society and your own environment. So they're coming from another outside environment to tell you how to solve your problem. They feel as if it's not actually worth it. The best they can do for you to understand the problem. Look, there is a problem that your shoe is about to cut. When you look at that side, it's so that they say a stitch in time saves 9. So when you look, there is a cut somewhere there. When they say, okay, bring it, I will show you the shoemaker who's going to repair it for you. They feel as if you already know where to go and solve that kind of problem. Go, you understood the problem, and you are the one who is using it. Go. So you should be the one to solve the problem by yourself. They only want you to understand the problem. However, people still would want you to recommend. They say you must recommend. Once you say that this is a problem, you have analyzed the problem, then give a solution to the problem. What kind of people are we? And to my dismay, I myself, just last year, I was at the Philosophers Conference and I presented a paper as well. After finishing with my presentation, in the beginning I said this is an analytic paper that I'm going to discuss here. The style of the paper is going to be analytic in brand. And when I said by saying the analytic, I don't expect you to tell me to recommend anything for you. Because whatever you are looking for, if it is a recommendation or if it is an implication, you will find it in my paper. But don't tell me to recommend anything for you. So I didn't actually recommend. I simply concluded after finishing my paper. That was the secretary of PIAN then. When he was discussing the paper, the first thing he said, you didn't recommend. I said, "Kai." I said, okay, I just noted. I said, noted. Another person came, discussed. He said, I didn't recommend. When he finished giving his own observations, he said, he also saw that I did not recommend. I said, okay, very good. When they finished, I said, let me start with this issue of recommendation. Please go back to my abstract. We read the abstract together with them. I said, the methodology of the paper, what did I say it was? You said it's analytic. So I said, when I said I'm analytic, I'm being analytic here, it means I'm a purist. And analytic purists don't allow you even to think about the recommendations for them. I told you, I'm dismayed to see that my brothers here within the philosophical camp are the people that I think that I should recommend in an analytic paper. They were not like, hi, philosopher. You have come again. So don't ask me to recommend. They say, go to your camp. We agreed. You are not going to recommend. I said, okay, ask another critic. He said, I didn't bring a particular philosopher in the works that I presented. I told them that I've read so much about this individual, and I knew that people are going to bring this guy into the literature. And I was like, I want to bring someone new that is not what we have been discussing before. And I have a lot of things about John Rawls. The fact that I'm talking about social justice, I didn't want to talk about John Rawls. I told them that I knew that someone would definitely say that, why didn't I talk about this guy? It's like you are prepared for everything. I said, no, it's not like that. This is why we're doing philosophy. So the thing is, when you are into philosophy, it will make you to understand things the way they should be. Most especially, like I was saying, when you come to if it were to be, you are going to do this masters. If you come to masters and you offer one of these courses that we are doing called History of Educational Ideas, you see a lot of things. How they even started, how ideas started in the first place. That is from the age of Plato down to the contemporary times. How philosophers have contributed to our educational practices. And what we are doing now, and you see the reason why we are doing this, why we are doing that in educational fields here. You begin to know why we have what we call the public schools, boarding schools. Why we begin to have, who brought the idea of boarding schools? You know? You see a lot of things, how they started. Even this issue of director of education, the concept of director of education was started by Plato. Plato was the first person to recommend that Education needs a director. Now we have commissioners of education. Even after having the federal minister for education, we still have minister for states. Who? On education. You have two ministers. Who? Federal and the state minister. And then we still have commissioners for education across all the states. All this started from the works of Plato. You see a lot of things that this issue of kindergarten, how kindergarten even started. Who was the first person to started this kind of issues of ECE? That is early childhood education. Begin to know the works of people like John Amos Comenius. The first person to start writing a textbook that is pictorial in nature, saying that we should teach our children using concrete objects because they have not reached that age of formal operations. They can't concretize it. However, we need to just give them pictures. Through pictures, children learn better than when you just give them theories. All this can only be done through what? Going through history of philosophical ideas. So that is what they are talking about here. It enhances your ability to influence educational policies of the country whenever they are in a position to do so. They say it offers a personal intellectual education. A personal intellectual education for the teachers in the making. Intellectual education. It enables them to critically and objectively analyze educational issues and problems. I said I'm not dictating, no. To critically and objectively analyze educational issues and problems facing the nation by being able to give weight to validity of an argument rather than to the authority of the person arguing the case. Look, listen to this. They said by being able to give weight to validity of an argument rather than the authority of the person arguing the case. Meaning that in philosophy, we don't really look at your personality. When they say, Professor so gave this one for, you dare not to criticize. We don't really get intimidated by your position as philosophers. Provided your argument is wrong, we'll demolish it, we'll use logic, and just give you the fallacy that you deserve. And that is why we also like to be criticized. Because we believe if we are being criticized, our ideas will also be stronger than they used to be. And that was even why, for instance now, when Plato wrote the Republic, there were a lot of criticisms about the Republic of Plato. The Republic was the most, was the most voluminous of his works, and the most influential of all his works. But it received a lot of criticisms. And those criticisms made him to come better. And he wrote another book titled The Laws. So all the flaws, all the criticisms that were already observed in the Republic, he rectified them in the Laws. And he came out he brought something more. When they call it the Laws, people didn't even have anywhere to criticize again. That was why they became laws. You understand? Because he has already received the criticism, already internalized them. And he came out better. So that is why we really want to be criticized, because it is only then we can actually progress. Like I was saying, the day I criticized my supervisor, even though he felt shocked, but what I brought, he also liked it. And he said that henceforth, this is how we should be doing it, the way I brought it now. You understand? Because that is what we call growth of knowledge. It inculcates in teachers in the making. It inculcates in teachers in the making the capacity for inquiry and questioning. The capacity for inquiry and questioning. It enables them to apply and relate philosophical theories and thoughts to current educational practice. To apply and relate philosophical theories and thoughts to the current educational practice. Like I said in the beginning, when we begin to see things the way they have, how they have started, it is only through philosophy you begin to go through the history of educational ideas. How it all started. Who was the first philosopher to tell us how to do this, how to do that in education? All through such kind of instances, you begin to see things clearer, so that you can understand and also at the same time explain why something is happening the way it is happening. Through going through the roots, by going through the roots. It also helps them to understand the reasons behind educational practices. The reasons behind educational practices and policies. Another one, it cultivates in the would-be teachers an attitude of open-mindedness. I said this in the beginning. Go. And I said, one of the philosophers said that one of the hallmarks of philosophic excellence, man. So one of the hallmarks of philosophic excellence is it inculcates in you that attitude of open-mindedness. Go. Being ready to accept other people's points of views other than your own. Other than your own preconceived ideas or preconceived beliefs. Lastly, in this list, it creates an attitude of humility in an individual. It creates an attitude of humility in the individual. Humility. Now, do you understand this? Humility. To be humility. Now, there is this saying that boldness and not rigidity. Sorry, flexibility and not rigidity. Boldness and not timidity are still part of the hallmarks of philosophic excellence. You being bold doesn't make you to be arrogant. And at the same time, when they say you are having this attitude of open-mindedness, you are ready to reason with people. Even if, for instance, now I bring an argument and you bring yours, and I realize that your argument is more superior than my argument, and as I come to your argument, isn't that humility? That is humility. I say, oh, yours is better than mine. Yours is yours. But if I say, there's no way your own is good. Even if I look deeply in that your own is better than mine, I continue to argue. I'm simply being arrogant and stupid. You understand? That was what we said. Even if you know that your argument is good, and someone brings something better, that is why we believe in what we call constructive criticisms. You don't simply demolish your work without bringing something better. If ever you are ready to say that someone is wrong, then in philosophy you should be ready that. Because the next thing we ask you to, okay, bring something better for us. Don't just criticize. If you can't bring something better, then just shut up. That is why your critique should be what? Constructive. Not just to destroy someone's idea that you cannot actually bring something like that. And when you become humble, when someone brings something better, and you accept that, yes, I like your own. Mine is good too, but yours is better. So let us go with your own. That will bring progress. That will bring growth of knowledge. Go. So I believe you are okay with this humility now. Go. So, like I said, these are just some few. However, I see more relevance when we look at it based on the branches of philosophy. Because in each branch of philosophy, you can bring at least 5 to 6 relevance of philosophy to education, which you have already started by yourself. So please, when I ask you for relevance of philosophy to education, don't limit yourself to this thing. That was why I say I'm not dictated, so that you don't take it as a rule of thumb that you just want to go and cram this one. If you don't have this one, you have failed. No, you will never fail, provided you can recall whatever we have done. That is why we say no answer is totally wrong, and none is totally, absolutely right. You understand? So always be confident, be bold on what you are writing. Just know that what you argue, make it to be sensible. Do you understand? So simply as simple as it is, that is what we are actually trying to look at. Let me quickly go into the schools of philosophical thought now. Intend to see if I can treat this. And let us start with Silvia, idealism, and let's see how we can go about this too first. But first of all, what is a school of philosophical thought? What comes to your mind when we say we're discussing school of philosophical thought? Are we discussing an institution like BUK? No. ABU? Or St. Louis? But are we discussing the ideas of... Yes, you are there somewhat. The scholar's stance on philosophy, yes, you are also there. Not actually bringing about philosophy. You understand? Not actually the idea that is bringing about philosophy. When you say a school of thought, like they said, is a grouping or a harmonization of ideas and thoughts of philosophers and thinkers across time and space based on their line of thinking. Meaning that these people don't in any time, or haven't in any time, start in one place and call themselves a school of thought. We are simply the ones here classing them based on their line of thinking. Yes, sometimes you can just come and see my line of argument and like it, and just go and continue from where I stopped. Look, I'm on this social camp. I really believe that this is that. Which means you are inclining yourself to my line of thinking, according to my thinking. So people, when they come, they will class myself and you in the same school of thought. This is just what they are talking about. Do you understand? So that is what we call a school of philosophical thought. So don't expect to see that. You see that in a school of thought, we have different proponents from what we call the ancient Greece down to contemporary times, depending on when that line of thinking actually started. Do you understand? So that is why, starting with these first two now, what we normally refer to as the classical schools of thought, we refer to them as the classical classical schools of thought, or sometimes called the traditional schools of thought. You see why they decide to call them traditional. You begin to ask, why traditional? First of all, starting with idealism. What is idealism? It's important at this point you begin to understand what this ism stands for. This ism. This ism